Oh, Mary Letts is with us today.
Oh,
Who is?
Mary
Mary
Letts.
Letts. Hi, Mary. Hi.
Taos.
That's Eloise's hand.
I thought it was.
Birthday last week, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
Any announcement, anything?
I think we're good. I was gonna
Okay.
make announcements about transport, but I think we're good for the rest of the month.
Okay. So welcome and good evening, everyone. Again, we'll start with a short breathing, mindful breathing exercise, watching the breath mindfully for a few moments. Once our minds are settled down, then we can, with a good intention, thinking the purpose of my life is to be as much help and benefit as possible to all sentient beings, directly, indirectly, in whatever way we can. And there's nothing more beneficial than help to others than to be able to help them to overcome their own defilements, the negative emotions, which are the root of all the problem, suffering. And to be able to help them to achieve not only temporary happiness, but true lasting, ultimate happiness. And to be able to help them to do that, we ourselves need to achieve fully awakened state by eliminating all the obscurations, including all the defilements, by cultivating highest level of wisdom, compassion, bodhicitta mind. And to do that, we need to reflect, contemplate, meditate, practice correctly, continuously. And to be able to practice, we need to be reminded of the practice. We need to continue to listen, hear the teachings, the Dhamma. Therefore, I'm going to listen, not only listen, but whatever I find helpful, beneficial, that I will try to integrate as much as possible in my everyday life. Okay. There's the prayers.
I'm gonna praise the Shakyamuni Buddha 3 times in English. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakti clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakti clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakti clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Short mandala offering in English. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Praya. And refuge in bodhicitta, once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Charan Sogye Chamamba Chanchu Pado Dane Katsu Ship Dagi Chuzun Kepe Sonongi Drala Pinche Sangye Drupasho Sangye Charan Sogye Chamamba Chanchu Pado Dane Katsu Ship Dagi Churjan Kepe Sonamgi Drola Pinja Sangye Drupasho. So we're still on the Seedling Sutra, and we're in the sections where the sutras talk about the dependent arisings of the inner dependent arisings, and within that, our inner dependent arising is depending on the cause, many cause and conditions, and describing the 12 link
the dependent link of the 12 links. And so you go through the sutra, go through briefly, and then it goes in more details later. And we're in the section where we come into the detail, where we just finished the ignorance, I think last week, the first link. So it's page number 8. It is. I think we finished up to where it says, the third paragraph. Furthermore, not knowing reality in the sense of misunderstanding it. That is not understanding. It is the ignorance. So that is so we talk up to there about the fundamental ignorance, which is the root of all other links, where it starts the first link. Then next, the sutra mentions, if such ignorance is present, if we have not been able to overcome the ignorance, and then due to that ignorance, other afflictive emotion will arise, such as anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, greediness, and so forth. And by arising of those ignorance and those delusions, then 3 types of these karmic formations develop. The second link, then karmic formations is developed due to that ignorance. So what are those 3 types of karmic formations? So it is known as meritorious karmic formation, unmeritorious karmic formations, and then Miyowa is unmoving. I don't know what translation here is. Let's say non-transferring or non-moving karmic formations. So here it says those that lead to the meritorious states. So meritorious state is the higher rebirth, such as human rebirth, desired God realms, those who are in desired realms. So karma that lead to that higher rebirth is the meritorious karma or karmic formations. That one. Those that lead to unmeritorious states, and those after that unmeritorious state is such as the low rebirth. So karma that leads to those low rebirth is the unmeritorious karma. That is the second type of the karma. And those that lead to non-transferring states, and those karma, that lead to God realm, such as form and formless God realms, is that karma, untransferring or unmoving karma, karmic formations. So these are the 3, okay? And this is what is meant by ignorance causes formation, karmic formations. So due to the ignorance, okay, either we create positive virtues karma, and due to that positive virtues karma, when that karma is complete, not all karma are the complete karma. I think, when 4 conditions are complete, then it becomes complete karma. If the one of those conditions are missing, then it becomes incomplete karma. The four conditions are, the intentions, the motivations, the objects, the actions, and then completions. For example, in terms of negative karma, in terms of taking of someone's life, the intention is to take life. By accidentally you kill a sentient beings, animals, or another beings by accidentally, then it's incomplete karma because the intention is missing. Okay? So the intentions need to be there to complete the karma. There is the intentions, the objects is the objects whom you have the intention to kill. You wanted to kill someone, and by accident you kill someone else, then you miss the objects. Again, that become incomplete in that objects. So you know who you want to take the life, and you actually take that objects. And then in terms of actions, is whatever actions you take to take the life of others, by weapons, by poisonings, by some others way you take like that is the actions. And completions is, when the other sentient beings dies before you, and there is sense of joy, satisfactions in having done that actions, So when those all four are there, then that it becomes complete karma. In this complete karma of taking the lives of others. That when all these four conditions are there, it becomes complete. If one of condition is missing, it becomes incomplete. Two is missing, three is missing, then it becomes incomplete karma. And so it is, and that is same with positive karma, when you save someone's life, when you save someone's life, it's the same. The intention is to save the life, the motivations to save the life. Without motivation, if you save the life, again, it is incomplete. But with the right motivation to save the life, and that motivation can be driven by loving kindness, compassion, sense of concern, whatever different, but the intention to protect or save the life, that will be the intention. The object, whoever you want to save the life, that objects, unmistaken objects. The action can be whatever way that you protect and save someone's life, directly, indirectly, in whatever way. And then completions is when you are able to be safe, that life is protected, safe, and you have again joy, satisfaction in being able to save someone's life. So that becomes then complete karma of saving someone's life, positive the virtues. So that is so basically, in order to, there are many types of karma. Some karma produce rebirth. Some karma cannot reproduce birth. They all, we say they throwing karma and completion karma. Throwing karma are the karma that produce the next rebirth. Completion karma are that which produce different experience within that birth. So there are two karma. There's one karma, throwing karma, throw you in as a human rebirth. And the completion karma, within the human rebirth, you might have good health, bad health, depending on your completion karma. You can have a better financial situation or less financial situation, depending on your completion karma. You can have a better relationship or not relationship, depending on those completion. Those are the completion karma is that produce different experiences within that life, whether it's human being, animal, whatever. So there's throwing karma. So throwing karma to produce that rebirth, whether it's a higher rebirth, a lower rebirth, it has to be complete karma. Okay? And so all these, we talk about this type of karma. So you create due to the meritorious or virtuous karma, all of them motivated by ignorance. But even though it's motivated ignorance, but you create in a positive virtuous karma, and that becomes a meritorious karma. And as a when it's a complete karma, as a that throwing karma, then in next you have a high rebirth. You know. Then due to negative karma, then sometimes we create negative karma and complete negative karma. And due to that negative karma, the unmeritorious karma, then the result is low rebirth. The positive karma or meritorious karma is high rebirth as a human being and disciple of them. Then this Miyowa is, I don't know, here it's not, maybe it's translated untransparent, transfitting, transferring, or unmoving. That is, again, still motivated ignorance, but through the engaged in practice, such as, material concentrations, different level of material concentrations, then you have a high rebirth in the God, formless God realms. And that is the third type of karma, untransferring karma that lead to untransferring states. And it is called untransferring. It is mentioned in some of the scriptures. According to the Abhidhamma Kosha, I think Mahayana has different explanations slightly. But according to Abhidhamma Kosha, once we die, and when those karma manifest at the time of death, whether to have a rebirth in a low rebirth or as a high rebirth as a human beings, and then you have intermediate state. And immediately after intermediate state, you take rebirth in those. You cannot change it. No, sorry. The first two, you can change it at that time. But this untransferring is that you cannot change it. It cannot transfer by changing in the part or intermediate stage. You will definitely have that rebirth. That is what it means, untransferring. Other two is more transferring because you can change it while you are, even though the part or intermediate stage to be born as animals has manifested, but through your practice, meditation at the part or through your virtues, or also sometimes by the support of others' prayers and practice, and that influence your karma to some degree. And by changing that, then instead of taking a rebirth in the parto, you can take rebirth in high rebirth as a human beings. So it can be transferred in that way, change during that time. But this third one is untransparent, and that's why this karma is known as untransparent. Okay? From formations, so karmic formations, that lead to meditative states comes consciousness that lead to the meditative state. From the formation that lead to an unmeditative state comes consciousness that lead to an unmeditative state. And from the formation that lead to the non-transferring state comes consciousness that lead to non-transferring state. This is what mean by formation cause consciousness. So consciousness is the third link. First link due to the ignorance, there's the karmic formations. Okay? It leads to karmic formation. You create the karma because of the ignorance. Karma, three types of karma we create. Virtuous karma, non-virtuous karma, or this untransferring karma. But all of them are motivated by the ignorance. Because all of them are motivated by ignorance, they all become cause of rebirth within the samsara. Within the samsara, then there are different levels. With some, you have high level of rebirth, some more and some lower. But still, all of them become cause of samsara because all of them are contaminated karma. Even if the virtues is still contaminated. Not only the non-virtuous actions, unmet choice, but even the virtuous actions that we create. Even the meditation on this, meditative shamatha, concentration that can become cause of high rebirth as a God in formless realms. Even those, because they are motivated by the ignorance, so they all become still cause of rebirth within the samsara. So therefore, until we have realization of the emptiness, and thereby overcome that ignorance, even the virtues we engage become cause of samsara rebirth. Better situation in the samsara, as I mentioned before, still it becomes cause to be in the presence, upgrade in the presence. It is just upgraded in the presence, still in the presence. It doesn't become cause to get out of presence. Within the presence, there are many different levels. And so similarly like that, that your situations in the present has been upgraded better compared to the others, but still you are still in presence of samsara. And so that is the second link, okay? The karmic formation. And once you create those karma, once you create that karma through your body, speech, and mind, sometimes without action, physical actions, sometimes without speech, sometimes without mind, sometimes with all of them, So we create those karma. The moment karma is created, that very moment, the karmic seed or imprint is planted in the consciousness. Okay? Immediately, the moment you create that actions, that karma, that potential, karmic potential, is immediately planted in the consciousness. And that moment of consciousness that's carrying those different karmic seeds or karmic potential is the third link, the consciousness. And therefore, the moment you create positive karma, virtuous karma, meritorious karma, that very moment, that meritorious karma is planted in the consciousness. That consciousness, which is carrying that karmic potential which has just been planted, that consciousness, which is carrying this karmic seed to have a higher rebirth as a human being and desire, that becomes the consciousness that's carrying the meritorious karmic seed. Okay? In the same way, when you create negative karma, unmeritorious karma, that very moment, that karmic seed is planted in the consciousness. And that consciousness would carry, or which has been planted at that very moment, and which is carrying that unmeritorious, non-virtuous actions, is the consciousness that is carrying or being planted, that unmerited consciousness that will produce, unmeritorious state or the birth. So that is and also same way, the moment you create this untransferring karmic formation through your material concentrations, again, motivated ignorance. In that kind of shamatha or material concentration, that very moment, again, karmic seed is planted. And that consciousness that carry that karmic seed is the consciousness that's carrying the untransparent karma that lead to untransparent state of the birth. So that consciousness, the moment of that consciousness which has been planted by any of those karmic seed, in that very moment, that consciousness is what is the third link. And that is where it says karmic formations lead to the consciousness. Because the moment you plant, because if you don't have karma created, there's nothing to be planted in the consciousness. And if there's no karmic seed or potential to be planted in consciousness, then there wouldn't be the third link. The third link is there because the consciousness is there, generally, normal consciousness, and then you plant it through your action. You planted that karmic potential or actions in that consciousness, and then that consciousness become, in that moment, carrying those karmic seed or potential, and therefore that is the third link, the third link of consciousness. Are we clear?
No.
So what you didn't get it? The second or third, the karmic formation or consciousness?
Well, one of the things that you mentioned a few moments ago was something about meditating in the bardo and changing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first I've ever heard that's, so you can in the bardo.
You can change. You can change, even you have, let's say you die and you take a rebirth in the pardo, and immediately after pardo, you are going to be animals. And then someone, through your virtues in the pardo, you can change that karma. And then instead of taking a rebirth as an animal, you die as a pardo, and you come as a pardo that can take human pardo, and then next you can take a human rebirth.
So you can die in the bardo?
Yeah, in the pardo, you die 7 times. If you live up to 49 days, that's each week you die. There's 7 dies. That's why we have 49 days, and how each of those weeks is important. And because, of course, it depends. Some individuals, after they die, immediately after few hours, they could take a pardo. They could take a rebirth in some way. Some of them, they might take 1 week before they have rebirth. Within the 1 week, if they cannot find the rebirth, then the pardo die, and then take another pardo body. And that goes until 7 weeks, and each week they die. And by 49 days, then they say by karma, they will find one rebirth. They will take a rebirth. So it could go up to 49 days. Maximum after 49 days.
Well, what happens if you don't have a rebirth after 49 days?
They say due to the karma, you will definitely have. So, yeah.
So
But there are different bardos depending on what
Yes.
so the animal bardo is different from the human bardo.
Yes. And there is, if you study about the pardo, there is a description how each pardo looks different.
Huh.
What kind of color, what kind of shape. Even though they don't have physical strong body but they still have a subtle bodies, and so yeah, each of them have a different they describe different shape, and even the way they walk is slightly different, Yes, I'm coming. Yes.
The incomplete karma you were talking about previously,
Uh-huh.
does that not create the third link?
Yeah, in that sense, yeah. Because it doesn't become the throwing karma. So the incomplete karma will help to reduce different to produce different experience in a different rebirth. Whether it's a good experience, bad experience, so forth, but it doesn't produce this throwing karma. And when you talk about 12 link, we are talking about more throwing karma in that, mostly from that point of view. Yeah. Yes.
So
Yeah.
7 deaths,
Mhm.
okay. Each.
It doesn't have to be 7 days for everyone, but
Potential.
maximum
Right.
it can be 7 days.
Okay, so you come into the bardo, and in the first bardo, there's something about your behavior and your karma that puts you, for example, in the possibility of being reborn. Your next birth would be as an animal.
Okay.
So in that bardo, you, whoever that is,
Yeah.
can look at this and say, yeah, that's not what I want to do. And you can in some way convert that through what means.
Well, we all does not have that opportunity. Say, oh, I don't want to go here and I want to go here. Unlike for higher practitioners, the bodhisattvas or some other higher practitioners who have more control, they are not controlled by the karma, but they have control over that. For us who having control of the karma, then they say wherever the wind of the karma blow, you go there. But in that Pardo state, the Pardo can still practice if you have practice in this life, and because you have so strong imprint and practice, you can still practice their Pardo. And by practicing Pardo, you can change it. And sometimes not only you, your families, or the teachers, or the monks, nuns, or others, friends, through their prayers and practice, that can influence maybe that karma, their practice and dedicating for your higher rebirth or better rebirth can shift you, and something happened to you, and then you started to have more positive thoughts or maybe have more positive actions, and that changed your karma. So therefore, that is why we try to do the prayers and practice dedicating for someone who has passed away for 49 days to be able to have some influence in changing their karma.
So in that bardo birth where one could take form as an animal, if you're, if you've had practice and other people are praying for you, then that possibility of being an animal dies in that bardo, can die in that bardo.
Yeah.
And then
you have a pardo of a human being, let's say.
Okay.
The
Alright.
pardo of the animal die,
Yeah.
and then you come as pardo of human beings, and then come as a human beings.
Okay, so the 7 possible deaths, though, if the first bardo you die in terms of coming into an animal lifetime, all right, so that puts you, if you manage to get out of there, then die there, then you go to the next bardo, and that's human, and then is there another negotiation in terms of?
Yeah, there's by the second time you might be able to find the rebirth. If you don't find the rebirth, then again that pardo dies as human rebirth, and then again come as another human pardo, unless the karma changes, very strongly,
And the same for animal.
Yeah, same, yeah.
You could go through several, just because you haven't found a suitable rebirth. as
Yeah,
an
suitable
animal.
rebirth, yeah. So that can go out to 7 weeks.
So we all here
Mm-hmm.
are a product of the process that you are describing in the bardo.
Yeah, according to my understanding, yeah. I don't have the clear points, but according to my understanding from the scripture, that is how we are all a product of that. Yeah. Yes.
the various dharmic practices that we can engage in, do you categorize those as white seeds?
Yes. Normally, when we say white seeds, then those are known for the virtues.
And they will create that third link.
Yes, yes. Especially if it's the complete within the just as negative karma, also with the positive karma, virtuous actions, also it can be complete or incomplete. You know. So if it's complete, then again it is part that become third link.
Is it through the ripening of these white seeds that we create through these dharmic practices that an experience of emptiness is birthed? So it's necessary to plant these white seeds?
Yes. To have the realization of emptiness, of course, contemplating, meditating on emptiness is important. That is the main way of actualizing the realization. But at the same time, it needs support of many other conditions. So therefore, we need to create conducive conditions or the virtues or the merit, and that positive seed are those merit, those virtues practices. Also purifications to purify those obstacles to have that realizations. That is also those are part of the white seed, the virtuous actions, virtuous practice. So yeah. Yeah. Yes. Any
John.
did it blew your is it over your
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. Yeah, I was not aware of the death and subsequent bardos and being able to manipulate according to what your accomplishments and the things that you have done in your previous life.
I wouldn't say manipulate, but you can change.
Yeah.
You can change. You can change. Even you have lived your life negatively, it can change at the time of death. Or even you have lived positively most of your life at the time of death, it could change due to your state of mind and all of that. So there's always possible to change. Not only there's always possible to change within this life, also there's possible to change during the Pardo state. So Pardo state is not permanent and fixed.
So people, everyone goes into the Bardo when they die. Okay. So
If you are dying, if someone is taking rebirth to the formless Godland, then there's no Pardo. It go direct. Other than that, then all others 5 grams, and then it go to the Pardo.
So people who die, who have not been practitioners, who have never heard of Buddha or studied in any way, but who have led good lives according to other principles, their progress, the Bardo is the same.
Yes, it's the same. Yeah.
Okay,
So in order to have a better rebirth, you don't have to believe in what Buddha Dharma say, or you have to be a Buddhist. There are a lot of people who are kind, compassionate,
right.
who are ethicals, and so for them to have better rebirth, it doesn't mean you believe in the Buddha's teachings. As long as what you are practicing, or how you live your life, is more virtuous, more kind, more compassion, that will definitely have effect. Even you believe in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and even you practice, if you don't live virtuous life, if you are very angry person and very harmful person, and if you live that kind of life, just because you believe in that, it doesn't mean that you will have better rebirth, you know. Yes, please.
The act of purifying white seeds, isn't that itself become a white seed that also needs to be purified?
Oh, I didn't get it.
The
Purifications,
the purifications that we do in order to burn up karma,
negative karma.
including virtuous karma.
No, we don't burn out the virtuous karma.
That it's not necessary to burn off
No.
all karma.
Negative karma. We try to burn out the negative karma.
Isn't the accumulation of positive karma, doesn't that become a problem as well?
No, not necessarily. Positive karma is not a problem. Of course, positive karma that's motivated ignorance become still cause of samsara rebirth and not out of that. And so the point is that you want to create positive karma that is not motivated by ignorance, but instead maybe motivated by the wisdom. And then that become cause to get out of samsara,
Okay.
not a cause, better condition in the samsara. But when we don't have that wisdom realizing emptiness, therefore the ignorance is the one who is motivating and influencing our actions, even when we are trying to do good actions, virtuous action. And with that, then it still lead to better rebirth, but within the samsara, you know. And that is where then it always come back to the way to free from the samsara is to cut the very first link, which is the root to all other links. And the way to cut that link is by cultivating the wisdom, realizing emptiness. Yeah. And that is why also in this Sutra, Buddha explains so much about emptiness again and again. So are we clear now? Not?
Somewhat clearer.
Was
We'll use the comparative only.
Mhm. We can think, you know, in our human life, whether you have been very kind, virtuous persons, or whether you have been very negative, unvirtuous persons, there's always opportunity to change. Don't we have? There's always opportunity to change, you know, until very end. If there's that opportunity to change, also in same way, during the part of 49 days, there's always opportunity to change that too. You know, their actions and their karma, the opportunity to change. And so there's always there. So therefore, you know, even someone who died quite aggressively, you know, when they died, maybe they were struggling with a lot of negative emotions, anger, bitter, you know, all of that, and, you know, so angry, so bitter, and therefore they died very badly, which is more likely to influence, they have a more unfortunate rebirth. But still they have opportunity to change that within the Pardo. In the Pardo state, things can shift, just like we can shift in our life. I'm angry and upset very now, but maybe tomorrow I might just be able to let go of that thought, feelings, and that I think, oh, that was something bad. And I could try to forgive, I could try to let it go and try to do purifications, you know, ask for forgiveness, all of those virtuous actions. So there is always opportunity, chance to change that. And in the same way, even Pardo, even that moment, that person, because of whatever condition, due to different condition, that person can, you know, die with that kind of very struggles and negative, which create a karma to have more negative rebirth. unfortunately, but still there is an opportunity for them to change, and it could be changed.
That's sort of happy news.
Yes, that is, there is always opportunity to change all the time, the karma, It's not fixed. Karma is not fixed. It's not permanent and fixed. Always there's always the opportunity to transform and change it. Okay. So that was the third. Then it says the four immaterial aggregates that arise in conjunctions with the consciousness along with the physical form is what is meant by consciousness called name and form. The fourth link is known as name and form. The third link, consciousness link, lead to the fourth link, the name and form. And as we discussed before, what is the name and form? The form here refers to the physical body. Okay. The name refers to the four other aggregates. Here, as it said, in immaterial aggregates, four, which means feeling aggregate, discriminating mind aggregate, compositional factor mind aggregate, and consciousness mind aggregates. Those four. Basically, it's the five aggregates. It's just the so due to the third link, because the consciousness is carrying that karmic seed, and when the conditions come together, that karmic seed is ripening. And when the karmic seed is ripening, then it gives new life, new rebirth. And in the new rebirth, new life, the moment that new life starts, new rebirth starts, then those five aggregates come. If we take an example of taking a rebirth from the womb, whether it's a human being or animal, the moment, the consciousness enter into the womb, with the sperm and the eggs, the moment consciousness enter in that very moment, then the name and form has been produced. Are we clear?
And the name is still part of the throwing karma,
No,
or is it
these are the results.
It's the result of the throwing?
Throwing karma.
Okay.
Yeah. The first three are known as the throwing causes. The ignorance, the karma, and consciousness. Those are the ones that cause to have the rebirth is throwing. And then, later it will come the craving, grasping, and becoming are like the actualizing causes. And then the rest of them are the result. Okay. So name and form is part of the result of those throwing karma. So maybe it might, for example, in the wheel of the life, there's a painting in the wheel of life. There are four circles. In the middle, there are three animals. In the very middle, just pig, bird, and snake. That symbolize three poisonous, which is the root of all the problems and root of the samsara. The pig symbolize the ignorance. The snake symbolize the anger. The bird symbolize the attachments. And next to that, then there's circle, half white, half black. In the white, some being going up, and then the other side of dark is some people coming down, being pulled down. And that symbolize the karma, positive karma and negative karma. The white symbolize positive karma, the black symbolize the negative karma. Due to those three poisonous, ignorance, attachment, and anger, then we create those karma. Either black or white karma, positive or negative karma. Then there's next circle with the beings of the 6 realms. So there, sometimes you see 5, sometimes you see 6 in the paintings, drawing. When they do 5, then demigod and god are kind of in one sections. When there are 6, then there is, the 6 realms of beings with their individual suffering. You see that. And then at the very last circle is then there's 12 of them, and that's your 12 link. And it starts with the blind persons walking with a stick, because you cannot see blind persons. That symbolizes ignorance, blind. And next to that painting, then there is the I think it's the potter creating a pot, clay pot. So it's the karma, it symbolizes karma. Just as the potter can create different size, different shape, different colors, whatever, different potters, designs, same way we create different karmas, positive, negative, neutral, and within the positive, different kind of positive, within the negative, different kind of negative, all that. And in the third, then there is monkey on the tree, Yeah. I think it's the monkey which is, and that is the monkey jumping from one to another. And that symbolizes the consciousness, and our consciousness, sometimes wisdom, in many scripture, they describe, monkey mind. Mind is like monkey. Monkeys, they cannot stay still, And it's, if you notice monkey, you can see them. They hardly stay still. Maybe when they sleep, maybe that, but when they are not sleeping, they cannot stay still. They are doing something all the time. And so they cannot stay still. So that is monkey mind, symbolize the consciousness, the monkey. The fourth is the name and the form. Is then there is someone rowing the boat, in the boat. And that symbolize, the person in the boat symbolize the aggregate, the name and the board symbolize the physical form, So again, they're depending on each others, And so, so up to that, where are we? Okay, then. So we are on the fourth link, name and form, and we just, what is the name? What is the form? The form is the physical aggregate, and the name is the 4 non-physical aggregates. As mentioned, namely the feeling, discriminating mind, compositional factor mind, consciousness, the 4. Due to the development of name and form, the performance of action through entryways of 6 sense sources occur. Of course, this is what we mean by name and form causes the 6 sense sources. So the 6 sense sources or power or faculties the eye sense faculties, ears, nose, the tongue, bodily and mental consciousness senses. So once the consciousness enter the body or the sperm and eggs, okay, that very moment, the name and form is developed. From that very moment, for a certain period of time, then the sense faculty started to develop, you know, the senses faculties, the eye sense faculties and so forth. And those sense faculties is like the medium, you know, for the eye consciousness to experience and perceive the objects. Without the eye sense consciousness, no, eye sense faculties or sources, it's like the medium. Like when we try to look at small things which we cannot see with our naked eyes, then we depend on microscope to look at it. It's similar like that. The consciousness cannot perceive and experience the object without depending on those sense faculties. So those sense faculties are very subtle and very fine. The 5 ones are, very subtle, very objects or metal objects. So anyway, so that is how. So when there is damage to eye sense faculties or the sources, then your eye consciousness cannot perceive the objects. The objects is there. Your eye consciousness is there, but your eye consciousness is unable to function to be able to perceive and to experience the objects because there's damage to that eye sense faculty. Because there's our eye sense faculty of sources, because there's damage. So for the eye consciousness to be able to perceive and experience the objects, the shape and color, it depends on the eye sense faculty or eye sense source. And same with hearing. The hearing consciousness to be able to hear and perceive the sound and to experience the sound. Even the sound is there, even the ear consciousness is there, but if you have something damaged to your ear sense faculty or the sources, then you are unable to do that. You are unable to do that.
Laura has a question. While in the bardo, do you ride on the winds of your karma and the pure, your purification at death? Could that possibly direct your ride to a higher rebirth?
Yes, definitely. At the time of death, if you can do purifications or other virtuous practice, if you can die with the virtuous practice, virtuous mind, and so forth, then definitely you will have a better parto rebirth, and then better after that, better rebirth. But even you somehow at the time of death, even you are unable to do that, but if you are able to do it at the parto stage, then that can change. So you still have a chance at doing the parto stage. Just like even in our day, today for example, due to certain condition, your mind get negative, and so you even you want to have positive state of mind, you couldn't do that negative, but maybe tomorrow you might start to see differently, and then to be able to do the positive thinking and positive actions and all that. So it could happen also in the parto, not only during that time. But definitely, if you die, with a positive state of mind and Dharma practices such as purification, other than definitely you will have a better rebirth, the chances. So we are talking about the 6 sense sources or the faculties. So therefore, that is at the very beginning when the child, in the mother's womb, during the name and form, they already have the consciousness. But the shapes are already there, the colors are already there, sounds are already there, but they are unable to experience, perceive that because those sense faculties are not developed at that time, at the very beginning. Over the days, weeks, months, those sense faculties develop. As those sense faculties develop, then their consciousness is able to perceive and experience those objects. So it's not that when the moment they have name and form, the consciousness is already there. Consciousness is already there. But they cannot see the shape and color. They are unable to perceive the shape and color by their consciousness because at that time the sense faculty of eyes had not been produced, developed. And same with that. And then with the time over the again, days, weeks, months, then they started to, those six sense faculty or sorts started to develop. And with that development, then it allowed their consciousness to perceive the objects and then experience the objects. So that is what it means, the name and form produce the six sources. And sometimes the sense sources is called sources because it is a source or cause for the consciousness to perceive the objects. Those sense faculties or sources allow the consciousness to perceive the object and experience the objects. Without them, they cannot. And therefore, it is the source for the consciousness to perceive the objects. From the six sense sources arise the six collection of contact. This is what mean by the six sense source called contact. So then the fifth link is the six sense sources, and the sixth link is the contact. Okay, the link of the contact. So the consciousness has already been developed at the fourth link at the time of name and form. The object already existed, the color, shapes, the sound, the smell, the taste, the touchable object, they are already there in the world. Okay. And then when the fifth, sixth sense sources are developed, so when that is developed, it allows the consciousness to come perceive the objects, and therefore, and the way they perceive the objects by coming in contact with the objects. By coming in contact with the objects. So therefore, without that six sense sources, the consciousness will not be able to come in contact with the objects. Without the consciousness being able to come in contact with the object, it will never be able to perceive and experience that. So what allow the consciousness to come in contact with the object and thereby perceive the experience because those six senses. Okay? That is why those six senses create or lead to the next link of the contact. And coming in contact with the objects, the consciousness coming in the object, the consciousness coming in contact with the objects through the six senses, allow the consciousness to perceive and experience the objects. Also, the contact, during that contact, also part of contact is to distinguish the objects. You know, when you come in contact with the object, then you distinguish, oh, this is a nice object. This is a bad object. This is so-so object. This is desirable object. This is undesirable object. This is attractive object. This is not attractive object. This is so-so. So once you come in contact with that, part of that contact is once you come in contact with the objects, then those distinguishing started to happen. The contact link also started to distinguish object in different categories, you know, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, you know, desirable, undesirable, all of those different. So that is what the contact does. Mm. If your consciousness cannot come in do not come in contact with the object, then you will not receive and experience the object. And therefore, you know, the Buddha advised for those beginners, practitioners who doesn't have a strong tools of meditation and practice to deal with attachment, anger, jealousy, all those different negative emotions, it's better to keep away from coming in contact with the object that give rise to those emotions. You know, if I don't have tools, if I don't have strong practice meditation tools to deal with attachments, then it's better me to keep away from coming in contact with the object that give me rise to attachments. If you don't have strong tools, practice, and you know, way to deal with your anger, it's better to keep away, distant from the object that give rise to the anger. So in other words, keeping distant or not coming in contact with the objects. And part of the practice of many of the rules, the Vinaya practice, rules regulation is to help that. To help that. Why he encouraged, not to drink, not to take intoxicant and so forth, is because, if you keep away from them, you are, if you don't have the right tools to control it, then you can get in trouble because of that. And therefore it's better to keep away from that before it becomes problem to you. If you have the means not to get in trouble, then it's not a big deal. If you have a strong practice meditation that you can resist any kind of attachments, when you see the objects and all of that, then so that is why those practice come into contact, especially at the very beginning of training. That is why, he make advise the monasteries or the practice of meditation to be far away from the cities where there's too many distractions, too many objects of attachment, too many objects of jealousy, too many objects of anger and all of that, because you are still at the very beginning and you haven't trained well and you don't have those strong practice, so you can get very much bombarded with all these objects, bombarded. And so therefore that is why the meditations, practicing environment, the monastery, so forth, that it should be far away, because once you have trained yourself, once you have developed strong practice, once you have those tools, then it's not big problems. And again, this is something we have to remember. And if you go into the big shopping malls, a lot of attachments arises. Oh, that looks very nice. Oh, maybe I should have that one. Oh, it would be nice if I could have that one. You know, why? Because again, now you come in contact the object of attachment, and we don't have the practice to overcome that attachment. So each time you see those different objects, your attachments are arising. You know, and then you buy things that you don't need. You're not even thinking of buying, and then you see there, you are there and you see, and then you started buying. You know. And the same thing, you know, you are watching the news or something, and it is making your mind upset and angry, and you don't have tool to deal with that anger, then it's better not to watch. That give rise to anger and hatred and those feelings. It's better not to watch it. Of course, if you have the practice mental not to be disturbed by that, then there's another problem. And so that is why keep distant by not coming in contact with the objects for the beginner where you don't have strong practice. You know, and I think it's very, very wise advice. You know, it's extremely wise advice. If we try to look in our own life, that's true. You know. Hmm? Our mind is still by different objects. And because we don't have control over our mind at the moment, we don't have strong practice that we have gained control over our mind, that the external object doesn't affect us or doesn't influence us, our mind at the moment. And so for that, it's better to keep distant and not to have too much contact with any object that give rise to all those different negative emotions. So anyway, that's the sixth link is the conduct. And then sensation here, as I mentioned before, you know, sometimes it is translated feeling. Here, sensation. Sensation occur precisely according to the type of contact that occur. That is what is meant by contact causes sensations. So seven link is the sensation of the feelings. So now your consciousness come in contact with the objects through the sense sources of faculty. And when you come in contact with the objects, not only it come in contact object, now you started to distinguish this is nice, this is bad, this is desirable, this is undesirable, so and so on. Based on that, then you have different feelings in relation to that. When you see, when your contact come in that contact, and then immediately, you know, in that contact, your mind distinguish, this is nice, this is good, so this is something I need, this is something meaningful, beneficial, attractive, desirable, then you start to feel good about that objects, you know, good towards that objects. You know, you feel nice feeling, good feelings towards that. You know, on the other hand, when you come into contact, then our mind distinguish differently. It's undesirable, it's not nice, it's unpleasant, it's negative, so and so on. Then you have different feeling, that you have a bad feeling towards that objects. Bad feeling towards that objects. You know. And due to your feeling, then it affects the next link, you know. Attachments comes then, you know, when you have good feeling, nice feeling, pleasant feelings, when you come in contact with certain object, then you have attachment, not wanting to, you want to have that objects, you know. You started to have, you know, desire and wants to that object, feel needs of that object, wants that object, and so there's attachment toward that. On other hand, when you have bad feeling, you have, unpleasant feeling, painful feeling, negative feelings. Then in unpleasant, not negative, unpleasant feelings. Then again, you have attachments to be free from that feelings, from that kind of and that kind of states or objects and act. So that leads to the attachment, the next link. So that is where, so in terms of the 7 link feelings, then generally there are happy feeling, pleasant feeling, painful feeling, unpleasant feeling, or more neutral feelings. So you can have less 3 kind of feelings. And according to what kind of feeling you have, then the next, whether you have attachment, whether you have aversions, whether you have more kind of ignorance, depending on what kind of feeling. Those feelings leads to different feelings. Those feelings leads to different emotions, So today we will kind of up to here, yeah. So any questions? If there is any more questions, I will take it. Otherwise, we will. With the dedications.
There's one more question.
Yes, please.
Would you say that the 12 Nidanas were a more detailed rendition of the 5 skandhas?
12, what? 12?
The 12 Nidanas, is that what we call the wheel of life here? The 12 links?
12 links, yeah.
Would you say that the 12 links are a more detailed rendition of the 5 skandhas?
Not necessarily itself. Skandhas, 5 skandhas or aggregates. There, but I think it doesn't go so detailed here. If you want to study more detail on those 5 skandha or aggregate, then I think it will be more better study in Abhidharma Kosha. They are more detailed in Abhidharma Kosha. Especially when you want to study more on those, the skandha of feeling, discriminating mind, compositional factor, consciousness, also mind and mental factors. The study on mind and mental factors will also help to have better understanding of those 4 skandhas in the more detailed depths. Each of what are the definition of each of those mind or each of those aggregates. What are the cause and conditions that lead to those aggregates? What's the functioning of each of those? What are the results? At least so it go more detail into all of that, Yeah. The 12 link is more detailed explanations of how we are thrown into the samsara. Is more like an expansion of Four Noble Truth, especially the first truth, the truth of suffering and truth of the origin. So 12 link is more detailed explanations of that first truth, the truth of suffering and truth of the origin. Even within the 12 link, there's one we call Lungjung Lungdo. Lungjung is how the 12 link, starting from the first link, how we get caught up in the samsara and samsara rebirth and the endless sufferings. And then Lungdo is the reverse of that. And when you meditate on the reverse of that, then that is more detailed explanation of the other two, the the Four Noble Truths of path and cessations. The reverse of this is, but the one which we are going through now is more of more detail on the first two noble truth, the noble truth of suffering and origin. Yeah. Yes, then we can do the dedications.
So on our prayer list tonight, we dedicate the merit from listening to these teachings and to all beings and all prayer lists everywhere. And for those suffering obstacles, Adrian, John, B, Mary Jane, Javier, Mary Jo, the 7 dogs and their owner, Luis, Cepeda, and Kathleen. For those suffering illness, Terry, Yeshi the dog, Lucky the dog, Hillary B, Gail, and Barbara, that's Barbara, okay, Conklin. And those for death, Yolanda, and the snake on the road.
We want to share the dedication prayer.
We'll do them in English tonight. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, I quickly attain the state of a Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. And may that which has arisen not diminish but increase. On my prayer, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the wish granting,
Which will freely flow
towards
every single benefit and happiness in this world. To
the
the incomparably kind angels and assistants. May all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled.
and for Lama's of Rinpoche's reincarnation. Fearless teacher, simply the children of the victorious Lamas, Stravagas and Pradhyaka Buddhas, victorious Losam Brother and Sons, along with the ladies of justice, all objects of refuge and infinite blessings. Please bestow the virtue and goodness of company in the prayer here and now. Holy ladies, creating the voice, they take the complete teachings, produce and make it in practice. You are the patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable purity, I make request. I'll swear to blessings abundantly for the sake of your glorious most teachings. The soul gateway through which all benefit and eventually emerge. And from the living beings, you suddenly departed to peace, by great loss. Nevertheless, through the unceasing truth of the blessings of the three jewels, and the great ways of Bodhicitta and the children of the victorious ones, may us not reincarnate through the living in glory.
Bless you. But please enough. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, KTBC.